And welcome back to Jeff Koinange live at the Villa Rosa Kempinski. What a guest, what a set of guests we have on the show today. Donald DBK Kipkorir, his first interview in 20 years. And of course the Grand Mullah, Ahmednasir Abdullahi. He's a publisher of Nairobi Law Monthly. He's also the owner, chief executive of Al Noor Media, whatever that is. But it's okay. You're launching next month? Okay. In what language?
Just one of the universal languages.
Spoken like a real lawyer. All right, tweets coming in very thick and fast. Sam Soita says, Hata stima ziende, it will be smoking hot. Jeremiah Kariuki says, really smoking there. Real smoke on Olelenku should have burnt further. And then someone else directed at you, my friend here, Donald. Taxpayer says, where did Kipkorir study Islamic Wahhabism? Let him visit a mosque. He will have a free lecture. And Nur Hanshi says, you know nothing about Islam. Your arguments are so shallow. Donald, let's not go into Islam right now because that's a whole show on its own. But gentlemen, let's switch gears. Come back to reality here in Kenya. Let's start with ICC. ICC, is it all but gone? I know you're close to the Deputy President, so I'll leave you for now. Grand Mullah, is case number one over right now, or is there a case to answer?
I think the Deputy President case have gone through various phases, and sometimes from where we stand, just reading the newspapers, there was a time we thought he was in real trouble, especially when they brought the recanted evidence. But if you have watched carefully the submissions by lawyers, I think there's a ray of hope that the case isn't really as strong as it seemed. But whether he will be put on his defense or not is 50-50. But if I was someone who gambles, I will gamble eventually on an acquittal.
You would?
Yes.
You as a lawyer?
Yes.
You as the Grand Mullah?
As a jurisprudent, actually.
As an SC, you would say acquittal?
Yes, at the end of the day.
Are you working for them?
No.
Is Karim Khan calling you now and then?
No. If you look at the submission by lawyers, and when you hear the prosecutor saying that it's not the potency of the evidence I have, how strong it is, but rather saying that the number of witnesses I call. I mean, cases like this are not quantitative; they are qualitative. Just one strong evidence enough to convict. Instead, but then they are saying that we have brought 100 witnesses. So it's not really the number that will determine, but the potency, the quality of the evidence. And I think that is something the prosecutor was sort of conceded. Yes, and they were saying put this guy on his trial, let him rebut the issues we have raised.
Right.
But that's not as strong.
Donald Kipkorir.
He'll come home, but it's not because of the submissions made on much. What happens is that, again, you need to understand the foundation of ICC. ICC is built on the ashes of the Second World War.
Oh, come on. Don't give me a history lesson here, Don. Just tell me, is the guy guilty or not guilty?
I'm just telling you the decision made by the judges will not be basically even on the evidence given.
We're going to look back at the World War II before we determine Ruto's case?
These are victors' court. So what happens normally is, what happened in Yugoslavia, the war in Yugoslavia was worse than Kenya. 8,000 people were killed in Yugoslavia. All the leaders of Yugoslavia were taken to the courts which are established for Yugoslavia then. But what happened is Yugoslavia has moved on. We have Croatia, we have Herzegovina, we have Serbia, and all those other countries. All the leaders were acquitted because people have moved on.
What's your point?
Kenya has moved on. There will be no ideological reason, there will be no jurisprudential reason to convict anyone in Kenya anymore. And then that's number one. Number two, the other thing is, in international law, it's about the person to be tried is one with the ultimate responsibility. And the clashes in Kenya actually happened during the time when Kibaki was the leader of PNU and Raila was the leader of ODM. So if there's anyone to be taken to IC, then it was to be Kibaki or Raila.
But the warrants of arrest were not for Kibaki and Raila. They were for?
This is what I'm saying. ICC is not a proper court like our courts. They are political courts.
So you think after spending €1 billion or whatever it is they've spent,
They'll have to find a way out, but they'll have to be acquitted.
both,
Yes.
they're coming home.
Yeah, they're coming home.
Both.
Both. Because there's no basis whatsoever for taking them there and for convicting
Will
them.
there be new warrants, Ahmednasir? Will there be new warrants of arrest? Or
I
they'll
don't know.
just,
I mean,
or they'll go to Burundi or the next, crisis.
I mean, we don't know. I mean, there's a lot of rumors that there are warrants of arrest for people who have tampered with witness, but I don't know how far it's true or not.
You guys are talking like lawyers, Donald. I mean, are there warrants? Let me know, man.
There are rumors there are warrants,
Yes.
but we don't know
Is
again.
Matanga on the list?
Those are rumors. No one knows.
No, Matsango is too small for a warrant to be issued.
Too small physically?
I mean, no,
But again, as I,
I mean,
say,
not if there will be a warrant issued for him, it will be about the Lord's Resistance Army, not
Yes,
about what
way back
happened in
then,
Kenya.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
He is more of interest there than here.
But do you think there are warrants? You think other people will be accountable? You think someone will eventually be accountable?
Not in terms of what happened, but maybe some the incidentals, whether
Smaller
whether someone has tampered with a witness or not. But in terms of issuing warrants for I don't think the case is closed from that point of view. There can be no more warrants.
I think ICC has moved on from Kenya.
You think so?
Yes.
So even with the president, with case number 2, the one that was put basically on hold, you don't think they're going to go after him after his presidency?
This
It
why, Jeff, I keep saying that you need to understand foundation of ICC. Once you understand it, and Kenyans understand the foundation of ICC, they'll understand that Kenya has moved on, ICC has moved on from Kenya. They're basically like winding up maybe procedural issues, and then we move on. We close the chapter.
Just like that.
Yes.
Grand Mullah?
We are at the tail end of this process, and the tail end is case number 1. I mean, the lawyers have submitted the judgment. The judgment will come in due course on whether they will be put on their defense or not. If they are not put on their defense, that's the end of the story.
Okay.
But
So
we've learned our lesson.
we
So
have,
we
have
will
we?
not.
We'll never do this again?
We'll not fight again.
Okay. So Ruto comes back, everything's okay. Election 2017, will Jubilee stay intact? Will they still be intact?
I'm not a member of Jubilee, but I think so.
You're not?
I'm not a member. I don't know. I'm not a member of any political party.
Grand Mullah?
I mean, if someone leaves Jubilee, where will he go to?
Well, you never know. There could be other scenarios.
What scenario? I mean, you can't go to CORD. I mean, CORD is not a viable alternative. On a serious note, I mean, does it make sense for one to leave Jubilee and go to CORD?
We're talking numbers.
But you don't leave government to go to the opposition, do you?
I think the president and the deputy president, they have an agreement to support each other. So I think that they are honorable men.
Yeah. CORD the way it is right now. Can they beat Jubilee the way things are going right now? Grand Mullah?
You see, in terms of, there is no seismic movement in the politics of the country since the last election. Nothing has changed.
But they seem to be ahead of the curve each time. Jubilee is responding to what CORD...
Let's be fair. I mean, the rallies they have in front of the courts when Wetangula is acquitted does not mean that they are ahead. That's just a event. If you look at the dynamics of the country, nothing has moved. There is not a single change.
Eurobond, nobody can explain from the government.
That's not about the election. That's about the monetary issues.
But they're convincing the people that Eurobond money was stolen.
No, let's be fair about Eurobond. When you talk about Eurobond, those people who normally believe Raila will believe him. Those people who don't believe him will not believe him. That's it. So even on that point, he is not winning anything. He's talking to his followers. Yeah. And those people who don't follow him have no time for him.
Go on.
Kenya is a tribal country, and don't be
very tribal.
Very tribal. And at the end of the day, when it comes to election time, we rally behind our tribal leaders. Doesn't matter what you say. And being tribal actually is not bad. At the end of the day, Kenya is an artificial creation of colonialism. At the end of the, we all go back to our tribes. It goes back to Somalia, the tribe. May go back to my Kalenjin tribe.
Somalis, we don't go anywhere because we don't have a candidate.
Somalis are very
we vote objectively, unlike you.
but they can split 50-50. They're like kisses, but seriously, Kenya is a tribal country. It's not about Eurobond. It's not about NYS. It's not about anything else. We not yet reach that time. We're not a mature democracy. We run back to our villages.
So we revert back to our cocoons every time.
That's it.
So when Waiguru was being hammered, and I'm pointing over here because she's his client, was that unfair? Was that unfair?
You know,
I have issues with her. What happened is
she's never been convicted. She wasn't found guilty.
No, but you see, I mean, I think the issue that needs to be addressed is that Kenyans should understand that someone is not guilty or is guilty because Raila says it. That's very important. He is not the man, who stamps people and say that, Ahmed is guilty. Then everybody, for example, he picks on Eurobond. Every institution in this country, including the banks from Washington, New York, have said that this is a money trail. This is the way we transfer the money. But he doesn't want to listen. He's scoring political points. So let him play those games of his. And the same, with Waiguru. I mean, he didn't say, for example, that Waiguru has this money or has stolen this, but he makes noise. And he doesn't care whether he is right or not, as long as he makes that noise. That is his agenda. So the issues he raises, we need to understand within that context. Yes.
And he stays relevant by raising these points?
Yes, otherwise, but you see, give me a point. Raila is not, in normal democracies, the opposition sit on the other side of government. For example, in the House of Commons. So the leader of the opposition will always be addressing the Prime Minister. But Raila has nowhere to sit in terms of the political structure. So he has to make noise from outside.
But Jubilee doesn't help itself by being proactive. They're always reactive.
Jeff, what I was saying about the next election, what we need to do as a country is to have structures in place. Once we have structures in place now, we'll be...
What structures are you talking? Chief Justice, Deputy Chief Justice, are those the structures?
No, our question talks about so many values and what have you. Once we have those values inbuilt, and then we move away from
values, Don? Tell me what values are you talking?
Like what I've always wanted.
We have a constitution.
Yeah, what I've always wanted. Like we have by-party democracy in Kenya. We have CORD morphing into like a socialist, for example, party. Then we have Jubilee morphing into a conservative capitalist party and what have you. And then we have the two ideologies like America, like Canada, like Australia, like England, where there are two ideological divides of the country. But now in Kenya, every election time we have a new political party led by some tribe. So unless we move on from where we are now to a different kind of politics, 20 years from now, we'll still be doing the same thing. So
no, the point you raised, which was very important when you said is that Jubilee doesn't help itself.
Yes.
Need to be appreciated. It's not that Jubilee doesn't help itself. It's that Jubilee, and this we have to be fair, Jubilee has taken corruption to another level. Never in the history of Kenya has corruption been this endemic. People steal with impunity, and those who steal, nobody touches them. It's the innocent, that people chase around. So there's need for the government to address this runaway corruption. This is stealing that has become the norm. This is stealing that has become, people join, if you look at this government of Jubilee formed basically by two communities, they're stealing like mad, and Don knows that.
No, I don't. That's what I was saying.
Don is very quiet, by the way.
No, Jeff, that's what I was saying. We need to have that national culture. Like, one of the things I've always been advocating.
You can't fight corruption without having those culture or those norms you are talking about, because corruption is stealing money.
We can have forced political growth, again, by what I call benevolent dictatorship, where we have a strong leader molding a country to a particular culture.
Do we have that? Can we have that?
Like in Singapore.
Can we have that? Yeah. Or Rwanda?
We can have, like Rwanda.
But Don,
I always support benevolent dictatorship.
Like the Grand Mullah says, corruption in this country has just become ridiculous. People talk about billions like it's like 1,000 shillings.
We can deal with corruption issue. We can discuss briefly corruption. What I've always advocated, fighting corruption. What we need to do is, once we have those values, for example, and then we have transparency, like wealth. We must respect wealth in this country. But when you respect wealth, there must be transparency. like Jeff, people should access your wealth, what you own in this country. People should know exactly where your money is coming from, where Ahmednasir's money is coming from. But when you have people in Kenya who are
Mine
rich,
comes from legal practice.
oh yeah, or who pay, I'm not doubting that. But I'm saying when you have
I'm
people,
sorry, did you just say legal practice?
Jeff, when you
In
have
what
people,
country?
listen first. When you have people call themselves billionaires,
Yes.
and then they're not saying what kind of business
I'm
they're
sorry,
doing.
are you a billionaire?
No, not me. Not me. When people claim they're billionaires and they're on TV and what is claim to be billionaires, we have politicians who are billionaires, but you don't know what industries they run.
Are you a billionaire?
No,
That's not the issue.
No,
That's
no,
not the issue.
no,
That's not the
don't
issue.
stop
That's
billionaires.
not-
Don't
that's not-
stress in an important issue,
yeah.
which is
Yeah.
why is there a correlation between billionaires and public service?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it
Why,
doesn't.
yes, why are the
Yeah.
richest Kenyans
Pu-
former
pub-
PSs or former officers in charge of tender, all those things, you know. I mean, in other countries,
Yeah.
the billionaires are guys who manufacturing or servicing
You
industry
know
or
the
this,
source. You know the source.
or inherited from their fathers. But here's someone, you know, is
But what has to be done, Don? Does someone
yeah.
have to be arrested? Is that what we need? Some high-profile individual arrested and dragged through court?
In China, they killed them.
No, let me give you one example. I mean, you talked about Anway Guru. I mean, Anway Guru was taken through the process. She was told to declare everything she owns and explain. Why don't you do the same things for all these guys? Start from Raila himself, start from the opposition, start from government and ask everybody. The house you live in, how did you buy? Because all this time, all your life you have been working for
And
government.
people must access by this information.
Yes.
You know, like now what happens, you give information to the government and no one can access it. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
The information, like in America again, everyone knows where you get your money from.
Sure.
Even if you, like now when you do this show, in America, of course, at the end of the day, you'll earn so much. People will not kill how much you earn from the show.
Yeah.
So there should be full disclosure
Okay.
of everything that we
Would
own.
you guys be willing to go through a lifestyle audit?
It should be, I mean, it
But you
should
know,
be
we don't
open,
work
it
for
should
the
be everyone.
government.
Yeah.
We don't work for government.
I didn't ask you that. Would you
Yes.
want to? I've been to your house.
As long as-
I've been to your house.
as long as everyone-
He has a
as long
beautiful
as-
house.
as long as
And
everyone-
you're building a bigger house than him.
But as long as everyone.
No, you see, we have no problem. But the people you should be concerned about auditing
Yeah.
is the person who works for government.
So we don't
Or when you
care
join,
about you people.
when you join government.
You do government deals.
Like which one have you done?
No, but that's a serious. We know what we need to discuss again, yeah?
I have never done a tender for government. Which one?
None.
None.
But let's go back to the issue again. What needs to be done is that everyone needs to have basically like
We represent Wanjiku.
like
Wanjiku or
Yeah.
Waiguru. I'm sorry. Is that
Wanjiku.
let me go. What happened in Italy? Italy was running out of money
Yes.
about 3 years ago. So when you find you on the way driving a Maserati or a Bugatti, they stop you and they run your number plate on a computer to check whether you pay your taxes.
right?
That needs to be done in Kenya. I mean, there needs to be full disclosure of your assets and your source of money.
But that's never going to happen here. You're
We
right.
need to
It's
do- we
never
need to
going to
do it.
happen.
There should be a beginning. There should be a beginning. Like now we introduced the new number plate, which has all your information. So that should be a beginning. You buy, you have the new number plate. We should have all your information on it.
That's not for me. I want every public servant who works for this government to explain every penny he makes. Yes, that's number one. Otherwise, you will not be. I mean, you can't have a PS. Then suddenly you see him. He's a billionaire. He's building a 7-star hotel. He's buying companies on the stock exchange, and he earns a salary of 500,000 shillings.
But you guys are saying, you guys are speaking from a very wealthy perspective. What about the ordinary man that you talk about in the street? They can't relate to what you're saying.
Yeah, but once you have
Ordinary
discuss-
man's share has been taken by employees of government. Those are the guys who have taken his share.
So what should happen to those people?
But once
Grand Mullah?
you have this full disclosure, the wealth will trickle down to everyone. We'll be in a rich country.
But should people be arrested for the money and the assets they've stolen?
It has to be. It has to be level.
You know, I ask Kenyans. I mean, this government makes a lot of claim that they have arrested 350 people.
Yeah.
You ask either the office of the DPP or the Attorney General or the police, what is the conviction rate in this country? From 1990 or from 1980, how many people have you convicted for corruption? Maybe 10. Over a period of 40 years, maybe 10. 10 people. And those are mid-level. In this country, have you ever seen a minister who has been jailed?
Never. Never.
A PS?
Never.
A top security?
Never.
No, vice president should be depoliticized. It should be across the place. That's what I'm saying again. It needs a benevolent
and because of
benevolent
lawyers
leader.
like you, people like Kamlesh Patni or Brother Paul, ended up getting, you know, his money, his Grand Mullah
actually,
back.
don't blame the lawyer, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who do I blame?
Blame the prosecutor,
the system,
and investigator.
The prosecutor?
Let me give you an example. I was doing a case for a governor. You know, the government, I mean, he was arrested, he was charged, his offense, he assented to a bill. A bill passed by the legislature, he signed. So tomorrow when you go to court, there is no court that will convict someone because he has assented to a statute.
Yeah.
Yes. So when that one is released, it's not because he's a good lawyer, but because there was no case in the first place to charge. There was no proper investigation.
So why was someone like me charged or fined 2 million shillings that time then? Oh, I'm sorry, the lawyers have nothing to say. Oh, I'm sorry, there's a deafening silence here.
You've been
we don't know what you did, and we don't know what you did.
and you know,
Fixed.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick.
Yeah.
JS, the next CJ and Deputy CJ will be nominated by the President. Your thoughts, Donald, real quick?
I support. You know what happens is, if you read the Constitution, it says the President shall appoint the Chief Justice and the Deputy Chief Justice on recommendation of the JSC, Judicial Service Commission. It doesn't say how many recommendations it receives. The Judicial Service, the JSC Act, what it does is that it tells JSC, give me 3 names. The President should be given 3 names. It doesn't take away the
that's
powers
okay?
of JSC completely.
Grand Mullah?
no, it's not okay. I mean, Jubilee is clueless, you know, in terms of constitution, in terms of the rule of law. They are poor advisors. They don't know what they're doing, you know, and I feel sorry for them. The president has already enough powers and he doesn't know what to do in certain instances. He doesn't need to appoint the Chief Justice. He should not be allowed to appoint. Kenyans must contest. The president has no powers under the constitution to appoint the Chief Justice or Deputy. What has happened is, you know, and I blame Parliament, this man called Chepkonga, and poor Chepkonga, he doesn't understand the theoretical framework on how this constitution was enacted because he was issuing license at 60K that time. he brought a statute that amends the constitution.
Yeah.
And that is what he has been doing.
It doesn't.
Listen,
Exactly.
he has done that so many times. And all these issues will be struck out in court. So it will just, it's a bad publicity for Jubilee because they are bringing statutes that are unconstitutional. They will go to court and the court will tell them that this is unconstitutional. And I can assure you, in the next, when they are appointing the next Chief Justice, the President will have no say. And I think Washira Maina wrote a good article. The President has no powers. His role is ceremonial. The earlier he is told that, and I wish I could tell him, the earlier he is told that his role is ceremonial, not executive. The better. He has so many powers. This one belongs to the JC, our Chan and I.
You know, Jeff, you should read the article in the Constitution. It says the President shall appoint on recommendation of the Judicial Service Commission.
Can I give you an example? Last time when I was in the JC, Kibaki actually asked us to appoint 2 to 3. He was told, no.
Yeah.
JC has the ultimate power. He said, okay, if that is the case, just bring one.
You know,
Okay, real quick.
No, we must go back on
No,
that.
Donald, real quick.
Yeah.
Who would you want to see as the next Chief Justice? Mutunga's leaving in by mid-year. Who would you want to see?
I have so many friends, but
Name one.
I'll tell you the names. Now, but
I can assure you that his friends will not make it.
no, but I want to tell you, Ahmednasir already as a candidate. That's why he wants to force the president with one candidate. And we
You
know
think
that-
he wants to be?
I know
he wants to be
only
Chief
one.
Justice?
No, he has a candidate, and I
Which
know.
one?
I know.
Which one? Say
He
it.
knows. I don't.
Say it.
The judge is my friend.
No, but say
Say
The
it.
judge is my friend, and then he has 2.
Why are you
He's-
afraid, Donald?
He has 2.
You're not doing an interview for another 20 years. Who cares?
No. He has 2 candidates. But what I'm saying basically, the amendments to the JC Act does not take away the powers of the
No,
JC.
it does. It
At
does.
all, at all, at all.
It does.
Let's go back. America,
Yeah.
judiciary is the most respected in the world.
Absolutely.
The Supreme Court.
Yes.
Singapore's Supreme Court is the most respected in the world.
No.
In America,
not
it's the
Singapore.
most respected. It's the most
Singapore is a
respected.
dictatorship.
Read any article. The leadership, political leadership is dictatorship, but the judiciary is highly respected. Read any book.
Would you
read
want
any
to be
article.
CJ?
No, I'm telling you
Would you want
about
to-
No, let me answer you first, Jeff. In America, the president appoints the judges. The president appoints the judges at the center of the Senate. In Singapore, the president of Singapore appoints the judges. Again, the same way. No one has ever accused America of having a flawed
Okay.
judiciary.
Let's come back to Kenya.
Yeah.
Your choice. Next CJ.
There's so many choices.
One.
You want real names?
Yeah. What do you mean real
I
name?
want 3 names to be forwarded to the president.
Go.
3 names.
Go on.
I want Professor Gitu Muigai. I want Isaac Lenola and Fishram.
No, you see, I mean, this is a
Those are the
competitive
best judges.
process. This is a competitive process.
None of which you agree with.
Because I know the two names here. I know the two names here.
I mean, this
You know, right?
it will be advertised. They will be interviewed properly. Then after they're interviewed, one name will be taken to the president. If he does, then after that it will be taken to parliament. If parliament rejects, they start the process.
So
will
Gidi
start.
Mugabe will go from AG to CJ?
But in England, there's no advertising, by the way. Even in America, there's no advertising.
Go on,
in Singapore, there's no advertising. No,
What
he's saying there's no
are you saying?
advertising.
What are you saying?
That is his choice. It's not the
The process,
JC's
no,
choice.
but I'm telling you, by the way,
Yeah.
I mean, he's already choreographed the process. That's why they want
Okay.
to force the president with one name.
All right.
He has two names.
Okay, so those three names you mentioned,
I want them to be, one of them should be the Chief Justice.
really?
Yes, they're the best.
Yeah? Does Ruto agree with you?
I haven't spoken to him about those.
Okay. Gentlemen, you got a minute to go before we end this show. Donald, I'm going to start with you. That's your camera. Final thoughts, man. First time in 20 years to do an interview. Go on, talk to Kenya.
Today is my first time on TV,
Look at that.
and I think it's my last time on TV again. Jeff didn't give me enough time to introduce myself, to say what I've done for this country. I wanted to show, so Ahmednasir can understand I've done so much for this country. The last elections, just privilege, so before we leave, the last elections, after we got the new constitution, I was like a lead consultant for IBC writing the laws for this country, which Ahmednasir doesn't know. I've done so much for this country, writing laws and whatever. So when just because I'm in the shadows, people may not know the much I've done for this country. But you've given me a minute, I would have given you all
Yeah.
what I've done.
Would you run for public office, Donald?
I don't want elective office. I want
You're going to be behind the scenes.
I want to do public service after a while.
Okay, so when Ruto becomes president in 22, you're going to be the man behind him?
I'd be privileged to work for him.
Spoken like a true lawyer. Grand Mullah, you get the final thoughts.
I think the country is now, I mean, we are approaching an election. The idea that informed the constitution we have was to have a government that is limited. We didn't want an imperial president. We didn't want a president that emasculates, other institutions. I mean, what the Jubilee government is doing, for example, to the judiciary, to the Police Service Commission, and all other constitutional commission doesn't make sense. And, they will make people lose faith in the courts and all these things. It's the high time that the president and, the guys who advise him should be told to leave the constitution, to stop undermining the constitution, to allow other institutions to function. And especially, like the Police Service Commission, the Judicial Service Commission, the Auditor General. I mean, this idea that, the president should go back to where Moi was in the 80s doesn't make sense. And the constitution does not allow him. The Kenyan people will not allow, and the courts will not allow. So it's a waste of time.
Absolutely. Graham, would you guys want to come back again? Do you mind?
Anytime.
No, I'm not going to come back.
You sure?
Yeah.
Donald, was that okay after 20 years?
20 years is,
Okay.
it's
Just because you haven't been here in 20 years, I'm going to give you a gift, okay? Just to give you an incentive to come back. Okay?
but Ahmednasir should not be spreading propaganda that constitution is being mutilated as you're giving us your t-shirts.
Graham,
just-
you get the both same because you're both lawyers, okay?
No, thank you.
All right.
It's been a pleasure coming over for your show.
I hope you're going to wear it
Yeah.
some point, eh?
As long as not
When I
advert-
see you at our kids' school, could you wear that t-shirt?
We'll see.
we don't have gifts to give you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Graham Mullah,
Thank
good to see you,
Thank
man.
you.
Thanks for coming,
Thank
huh?
you. My
All
pleasure.
right.
My pleasure.
The dawn.
Thanks, Jeff.
Appreciate it, my brother.
Yeah, thanks.
All right.
We'll see you again.
My goodness, folks, what a session we had today with the Grand Mullah taking on the Dawn. And the Dawn, who's here for the first time in 20 years,
And the last time?
says it's the last time. Jimmy Gathu, you're going to have to recreate Club Kiboko to bring the man back. In the meantime, please continue to tweet at Ahmednasir Law, at DBK017, at Koinange Jeff, the hashtag Politics101. Tomorrow night, we're going to do a special show dedicated to our troops in Somalia. I'm calling it a dedication to KTF. We're going to have the best political tag team on TV, Dr. PLO Lumumba and Barack with the 2 R's Muluka. See if we're going to inspire a nation, especially after all the losses in Somalia and the way forward. We're going to do that tomorrow night, right here. Jeff Koinange live at the Villa Rosa Kempinski. Thanks so much for joining us. Good night. Good luck. God bless you all.
Oh my.
Oh my, Don. Ahmednasir
Thank you.
Thanks, Grand Mullah.
Take care.
Great job.